Guys, it's me, Shell360, and I know I'm back in front of the camera, but that's because I have a tag video for you guys. Me and my friends here on YouTube, Angels 2014 and ALSK20, we get together on Google Hangout every once in a while, and we'll just like chat, and we'll ask each other these random nonsensical questions. And one day we were asking each other questions. I'm like, we should really do a tag like this. And so we came together, made up the questions, and decided to film it for our channels. And I figured this was a good tag to do because sometimes you're in between hauls and you just want a little content for your channel and it's something to talk about if you don't maybe have albums to show to people. So this is the if you tag. You don't have to have any albums to do this tag. All you really need is your imagination and a love of K-pop. So let's get started. Now my questions are going to be in a different order from their questions because I'm ill prepared for life, and all I wrote down were my answers, not the questions. So I apologize, guys. But let's get started. The first question was, if you could bring back a group that disbanded, what group would you bring back? I would bring back D-Unit. I really, really loved D-Unit. I thought that they had one of the best debuts K-pop has ever heard. And unfortunately, I think that what happened is that they were one of those groups that just needed maybe one or two more releases to really get the public invested. But because they were on a small company who put another group as a priority, it just didn't happen for them. But I think that they had the raw talent, they had the right sound, they had a cool look. I even think the way that they were marketed was like really unique. So yeah, if I could bring one back, it would be D-Unit. I would bring back D-Unit. Next question, if you could get your favorite K-pop acts to collaborate with a Western act, what acts would those be? So I have two answers to this because I have personal favorites in K-pop and I have personal favorites in Western music that kind of coincide a little bit. I think they would make interesting projects if they got together. So I chose Jamiroquai and Zion T. And I know a lot of you are scratching your head and thinking, Jamiroquai, what the hell? Jamiroquai was a group that I really loved several years ago, and I've always thought they had the most unique sound, a real throwback kind of 70s sound. And Zion T, he has such a unique voice, and I think that his voice and the unique sound that Jamiroquai does would really make for a very interesting project that I think a lot of fans would really enjoy. I also chose Pharrell and BTS as my other answer because BTS, they're so creative and they always are doing different things with their sound, and Pharrell is just a really inventive, imaginative producer, and I think those two coming together would create some really great music. And I know that BTS likes Pharrell's sound because if you've ever heard the song Yogi Bois, that song sounds just like a Pharrell song. So yeah, I think that they would come together really, really nicely. Next, if you could bring back members who left a group, what members would you bring back? Well, I brought back these members because I would like them to do one last kind of going away album together, and that are the other three members of the Wonder Girls. And you're thinking to yourself, three? There's only two members of Wonder Girls that are missing. That's where you're wrong. Hyuna used to be in the Wonder Girls, and I would love for Hyuna, Sohee, and Sunyi to come back together with the rest of the Wonder Girls and do one last album. And they would call the album The Seven Wonders of the World. Get it? Seven Wonder Girls, Seven Wonders of the World. Clever. But I just feel like the Wonder Girls were such an important group in K-pop. And I don't feel like we had that proper send-off album for them. So I would love to have an album where they just kind of get with their favorite producers, get with kind of their favorite people in K-pop to do some collaborations. Everybody kind of get their own solo song on the album, but do like just one big grand send-off for the group, because I think that they deserve it. I think the fans deserve it, and I think it'd be nice to, instead of have a group just kind of like fade away because of slow sales or whatever else, make a celebration of the fact that this is the end and we're glad that we made it this far. All right, next question. If you could create a dream concert with all your favorite acts, who would be in your concert? And you can't have like 20 groups. Narrow it down to like less than 10. So I chose 7. I chose Crush, Zion T, Sistar, 2NE1, BTS, J Park, and SHINee. Those were the groups I chose because these are all some of my favorite groups in K-pop. I love their sound, their style, just everything about them. But I decided I would theme my concert so that at least they would have one thing that they would all have in common. So it would be a Michael Jackson tribute concert. But instead of everybody only doing Michael Jackson songs, they would each pick a Michael Jackson song that they like, and they would rearrange it to kind of fit their individual sound, do that one song, and then also do 2 songs of their own catalog. I think it would be a phenomenal concert. I think we would all really enjoy it, and I know it personally make me very, very happy. Next, if you could get 2 K-pop labels to work together to do a project, which 2 labels would you choose? I mean, at first I was gonna go with some of the big 3s because, I mean, that would be really easy, especially like YG and JYP, because they kind of have a personal relationship, the 2 heads of the labels. But I decided I'd go with a label, or 2 labels, that I think have very similar sounds, and I think would create not just a good project, like a good album, but would also have a really amazing world tour. So I chose Brand New Music and Amoeba Culture. I think that Amoeba Culture and Brand New Music are 2 of like the premier independent hip hop labels in K-pop, outside of Illionaire, of course. And I just think that they would have an amazing album because they have such amazing songwriters and producers on both sides. Fantastic rappers on both sides. I think the album would be great, and I think the tour would be even more amazing. So yeah, Brand New Amoeba Family album. Make it happen. Next question. This is a messy question, guys. If you could take a real life K-pop couple who broke up and put them on We Got Married, which couple would you choose? Now, I'm a proper Shawwal, so that means that I had to go completely biased, and I chose Jonghyun and Shin Se-kyung. I picked them because it's weird to me that We Got Married is one of those programs that makes people forget that they don't want their idols to date. Like, when Jo Kwon and Guyan went on We Got Married, people swore that Adam couple was real. So I think it'd be cool to bring Jonghyun and his ex on the show to show people kind of what was good about their relationship, and maybe make people reevaluate all of the hate that they gave towards those 2 when it was found out that they were dating. And maybe, you know, if they could get past the fans' negative reactions and kind of all of the vitriol that was spit towards them, maybe they could give it a second go and Jonghyun could be happy, because sometimes I feel like he's a little bit lonely and could use a little love. So yeah, that's what I chose. Next, if you could eliminate a scandal from a group or an idol's history, what scandal would you eliminate? It has to be one idol and one scandal. So because it can only be one idol, it made it to where my initial answer wouldn't work, because my initial answer was I would eliminate the Ladies Code car accident, because I feel like it didn't have to happen. You know, I think if somebody could have just stood there and said, you know what, the weather's really bad right now, maybe we need to go ahead and cancel on this particular appearance, and we'll refund the money to the vendor and we'll just get back at it tomorrow. But since it had to be one, and this would affect at least 2, if not more, I would go with Jay Park's scandal that kept him out of 2 p.m. I often wonder what would 2 p.m. be like if Jay Park had never left. I mean, at the end of the day, I think we all benefit from Jay Park not being in 2 p.m. because without him leaving 2 p.m., we wouldn't have AOMG the way it is right now. I mean, maybe eventually Jay Park would have been, you know, I need to go solo. That's what I got to do. But I would be interested to see what 2 p.m. would be like if Jay Park was still a part of the fold. How he would have affected the sound of the group, the amount of releases they did, kind of where the music went. Because, you know, you just don't know. You just don't know. It's what ifs. What ifs. So, yeah, I would love to see that. Next question. If you could get 2 K-pop groups to switch songs, what songs would you have them switch? Thinking about it, I was like, you know, these 2 groups, they have similar but yet kind of different sounds, and I think it'd be cool for them to use songs that maybe aren't necessarily indicative of their typical sound and switch those out. So I chose Tiara and SNSD. I feel like they have a similar number of girls. I feel like they have a similar kind of genre of K-pop, but I think that Tiara is much more dance focused than SNSD is. And I picked songs that aren't really what those 2 groups are known for, and I switched those out. So I would like Tiara to do The Boys, because I feel like The Boys is kind of atypical in the Girls' Generation catalog, but also it's a sound that you don't hear from Tiara. So I would love to hear them do The Boys and see how they would interpret it. And then I chose Day by Day from Tiara, and I gave that to SNSD because I feel like that song is kind of melancholic, and that's not a sound I typically associate with SNSD, so I'd like to see how that would turn out. So those were the two song switches that I did. Next question. If you could have a group go back in the studio and re-record an album, what album would that be? You guys, I mean, you don't have to have an album collection to do this, but if you just know the history of your bias group, then if you're a Shawa like me, I think your answer would be the same. I would make SHINee go back to the studio and re-record 2009 Year of Us. It is my least favorite SHINee album by a country mile. I just think the auto-tune button was malfunctioning when they recorded that album, and they tried as hard as they could to pry the button up, but it just stayed stuck, and it ruined that album. SHINee is one of the best vocal groups in K-pop, and this is not me saying it because I'm biased, even though I am hella biased. But I'm also saying it because it's just the truth. Like, SHINee, people always talk about how SHINee sounds just like the record when they're live. That is because they have the vocals. So why cover that up with this robotic, artificial, cold sound? I don't get it. I wouldn't have done it, and I would have that album re-recorded. In a similar vein, if you could just remove an album altogether from a group's discography, what album would you completely remove? And I say this because I was really mad after I got the album, and I would rather it not exist at all. And I know a lot of you are not going to agree with me. Miss A's Colors. I was very disappointed in that album when I got it, and I expressed my disappointment, and I even had told people that my copy was for sale, because I couldn't with that album. So if I could, I would just eliminate Colors altogether, make them go back in the studio, do something different, because I can't with Colors. I can't. And don't get me wrong, I love Miss A. I really, really do. That's not the one for me. That's not the one for me. Next question. If you could get a K-pop group to cover a Western song as a Korean cover, what song would you choose? Now, I'm just going to tell you now, the song I'm choosing is one of my favorite songs by one of my favorite Western artists of all time. But if you decide to look this song up on YouTube, Children, this music video for this song has lots and lots of nudity. Lots of naked boobs. So I'm just warning you now so you don't get in trouble. But the song I chose is Tunnel Vision by Justin Timberlake. Justin Timberlake has been one of my favorite Western artists for the last 20 years. Like, seriously, last 20 years. And I think that the 2020 experience, the first half of that, was one of his best albums ever. I still listen to it to this day, and my favorite song on that album is Tunnel Vision, and I think it's such a cool song. It's got such a progressive sound. It still sounds good today, just like it did when it came out, 2-3 years ago, and I would love to see SHINee do a cover of it. I think that SHINee could do a great job with it. There's some really nice harmonies in the build up to the chorus and in the chorus that SHINee could really knock out the box, and yeah, I would love to see them do a Korean cover of it. Next, if you could take a group on one label and put them on a different record label, what group and what label? I would take 15 & off of JYP and put them on Rainbow Bridge. I feel like 15 & is one of those groups that is just completely neglected. Much like I feel like Actong Musician is kind of neglected on YG, I feel like 15 & those two girls have some of the most unique vocal talents in K-pop. Bake Yurin did the Across the Universe. No, it was the Frank EP that had I think 3 songs on it, maybe 4. I can't remember right now, but it was only released digitally. And then Park Jimin, she did the song Hopeless Love that was only released digitally. But together, those two haven't had an album since 2014. And it's just a shame because JYP is wasting time on a group that really has the chops to go very far. And I think one of the things I really love about Rainbow Bridge is that they've never compromised the musical quality of Mamamoo to promote their popularity. It was never for Mamamoo, oh, you guys need to lose weight and get sexier to get people to be interested in the music. They've kind of stayed who they are, and their personalities have managed to shine through their MVs rather than trying to mold themselves to be whatever it is that K-pop wanted them to be. And I think that's why their fan base is so devoted to them. I think that's why so many more people are getting interested in them. And I think that's why they're gaining such popularity. And I think that Rainbow Bridge is one of those record labels that's really interested in the artistic integrity of their groups. And I think they could do wonders with 15 and. Okay, the next question is, if you could build your own K-pop group from scratch, all 7 positions, because you have 2 leads, a rapper, a maknae, a leader, and a dancer, and a visual, who would be what? So I decided I'd go with the co-ed group. And I'm going to give you my answers, and some of them are obvious, others not so much. So for my leader for my group, I chose G-Dragon. I think he's one of the best leaders in K-pop. I feel like he's got lots of charisma. I feel like he is the heart of Big Bang. And I think he could do well being the leader of any group. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if in 10 years he is Korea's new YG. Because I see that potential for him. But yeah, he would be the leader of my group. My lead dancer would be Taemin from SHINee. I think that Taemin, as much as I like him as a vocalist, and his new album, Press It, is fire. It's so good, guys. You need to listen to it. But as much as I respect him as a vocalist, I think as a dancer, that is the talent that he was most meant to express in this world. And I think he'd be an incredible addition to this group. And also, because he does have that vocal talent, he kind of is a dual force in any group you'd add him to. So Taemin for my lead dancer. For my visual, I decided to go with Nana from Orange Caramel. I think she's gorgeous. Like, she started as a model, I believe, before she became an idol. And you could just tell, because she is fabulous looking. Like, just, she makes you sick. She's so gorgeous. So I would want her as my visual. And also because I wasn't allowed to choose 2 people from one group, so I couldn't put Minho in that position. But yeah, I would choose Nana. For my rapper, I decided I would choose Rap Monster. I really like Rapmon's tone of voice. Whenever he's in a BTS song, like, his parts just stand out to me more than anybody else's. Even though, like, his parts aren't always my favorite parts of the song, but whenever his voice comes on, you just know it's him. And I really respect that. Vocal texture means a lot to me in a rapper, so that's why I chose Rap Monster. For my 2 lead vocalists, I chose one who's automatically a lead, but then I chose one that I think could be a lead if her record label would just give her a chance. So I chose Hyorin as one of my leads because I think she is the lead singer in K-pop. I really love her. And then Minzy from 2NE1. I chose her because I feel like YG just doesn't give her a chance to let her vocals shine. I don't understand why Dara has had solo singles. Bomb has had solo singles. That makes more sense. And CL, of course, has got this big solo career that they're trying to craft for her in the United States. But no solos for Minzy. Like, what sense does that make? What sense does that make? Especially because as Bomb has kind of retreated into the background of 2NE1, Minzy's really had to hold her own and kind of take up the slack in the group. So why not make her a lead vocalist? Why not give her a solo? Well, you know what, girl? You could be a lead vocalist in my group. And then the last question, if you could swap 2 people in K-pop groups, which 2 people would you swap? Now, the question didn't say these had to be active K-pop groups, so I decided that I was going to swap Say from Evil with Dahi from Glam. So let's go back in the K-pop time machine here. Dahi was in the group Glam, and she blackmailed a really famous K-pop actor who was married and got caught doing the blackmailing. And because of the scandal that ensued, it caused her to do some jail time, and also it caused the breakup of her group. But what was so tragic about this was not just the fact that, she ruined the future of the group, but also because the group was on Big Hit. And they were on Big Hit before BTS hit big you know. And I feel like if this scandal hadn't have happened and BTS blew up the way they did, that Big Hit would have in turn reinvested that money into Glam, brought Glam up with BTS, and Glam would be a really big group right now. So I would love to swap somebody like Say, who is still active on YouTube and who is an incredible dancer, a phenomenal vocal talent. You ought to hear her English covers. Like, they are stunningly good. But take somebody like her who is still struggling to get recognition even after her group is kind of falling apart, and put her in Glam with other girls who deserve to have a chance that was stolen from them by someone as selfish as Dahi, and see what happened. See where they would have ended up. You know, I'm all about the second chance, and I think that the girls from Glam deserve a second chance. I think that Say deserves a second chance. I would love to see those two go together and make it happen. Big Hit, make that happen. Let Glam, let the rest of Glam come back, please. But those are all of my answers for this tag. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you made it this far in the video, I have a special surprise for you. For those of you who want to do this tag, I am doing a giveaway for you. If you do this tag between now and March the 31st of 2016, and you put a link to your tag video in the comment section down below, I will do a drawing after March the 31st of 2016, and whoever wins my drawing is going to win a photo card binder. It's just a regular binder. It's a black and white plaid binder. I think it's cute. And inside I'll have different photo card sleeves of varying sizes. So I have like a 9-card sleeve, 6-card sleeves, 4-card sleeves, and 2-card sleeves in it. It's not the most fancy of prizes, but at the same time, I know for a lot of people, they have a hard time finding the photo card sleeve, so I think this is a cool gift. But yeah, if you decide to do this tag, you don't have to be in front of the camera like I am. You don't have to do anything fancy with your video. Just do the tag. Let me know you did the tag. Put the link to your video in the comment section down below before the 1st of April, and I will choose a winner on my channel, and I wish you all the best of luck. Thank you again for supporting me, this channel, my friends. I know that sometimes my channel can be a hard channel to watch because I'm ruthless when it comes to the way I critique things, but at the end of the day, I mean, I wouldn't be that way if K-pop didn't matter to me, and it really, really does. So I appreciate all of your views and all of your support. Thank you so, so much, and I will chat with you later. Bye!